Welcome to today's Explainer. I am so incredibly excited to take you on this journey with me today. Look, we all live in this fast-paced, high-stress modern world, and honestly, it's way too easy to end up feeling scattered, exhausted, or just completely disconnected from who we really are. But what if you actually had a tangible blueprint for your own personal wellness? Today, we're diving into a brilliant manual called My Light, My Strength, and My Truth. Together, we're going to use this guide to rebuild what the text calls La Arquitectura de tu Ser, the architecture of your being, literally from the ground up.
Now, what's really interesting about this quote we're looking at is how it perfectly captures the three foundational pillars of our existence. May your day be filled with light to guide you, strength to sustain you, and truth to set you free. I mean, it sounds like a warm, thoughtful wish from a good friend, right? But the source text reveals that this is actually a profound structural map of human well-being. It introduces this fascinating idea that we are a living trinity.
So before we get into the details, I want you to really just sit with this question for a second. Who are you when absolutely no one is watching? We're not talking about your job title, not your role as a parent or a friend, and definitely not that curated image you project on social media. Just you. This explainer is ultimately about uncovering that true, unfiltered self. It's about peeling back all those everyday demands to find the core of who breathes beneath it all.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. The architecture of your being. 2. Your light, which is the spiritual foundation. 3. Your strength, the physical foundation. 4. Your truth, the emotional foundation. And finally, 5. Integration, the living triangle.
Starting right off with Section 1, the architecture of your being.
You know, we often treat our minds, our bodies, and our feelings as these completely separate, isolated compartments. But this manual proposes something totally different, that we are a living trinity, kind of like a metaphorical house. First, you have your light. Think of that as the roof, connecting you to the sky, to meaning, to the big picture. Then you've got your strength. Those are the solid stone walls of your physical body keeping you upright. And finally, your truth. That's the fluid, emotional water system running through the house that allows everything to flow without breaking. But here's the catch. Our modern world basically forces us to neglect these foundations. We get totally obsessed with productivity or just how things look from the outside. So we're basically slapping a fresh coat of paint on the house while the stone walls are crumbling and the plumbing is completely backed up. We're doing cosmetic repairs on a structural crisis, and that is exactly what leads to massive internal imbalance.
That brings us to Section 2. Your light, your spiritual foundation.
Now, I want you to prepare to completely reframe what you traditionally think of when you hear the word spirituality. We are not talking about dogma or religion here. The source defines spirituality super simply. It's the human capacity to feel purpose, meaning, and connection beyond whatever task is right in front of your face. Your light is your anchor. It's your ability to find your deep personal why. And the text makes a really strong point here. Maintaining this sense of meaning is absolutely crucial because it's the only thing that gets you through times of intense adversity. It's what keeps your roof intact when a massive storm hits.
So you're probably wondering, how do we actually find that light? Well, the manual offers this fantastic introspective exercise called the 5 Whys. And it's super simple. You start by writing down why you woke up today. Maybe your immediate answer is just, well, to go to work. But then you ask why to that answer. Why go to work? To make money. Why do I need to make this money? And you literally keep digging 5 levels deep. By bypassing those surface-level automatic daily tasks, this exercise guides you all the way down into the bedrock of your true inner compass. You finally uncover the unspoken reason that is actually driving your existence.
Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 3, your strength, your physical foundation.
So we're transitioning from that spiritual roof connecting us to the sky, right down into the solid walls of our house. Think about it. So much of our culture today treats the physical body like a machine that just needs to be optimized, right? It's something to fuel up with caffeine, to push past its absolute limits, or to mold to look a very specific way. But our source text completely flips that script. It urges us to view the body as a living temple and an ally. It introduces this amazing concept of somatic listening. See, your body physically registers all the stress, the exhaustion, and the messy emotions that your mind tries so hard to ignore. When you disconnect from your body, you're essentially disconnecting from life itself. We have to start listening to our walls when they're telling us they're bearing way too much weight.
To help you actually practice this, the manual gives us this brilliant, highly practical evening routine. I highly suggest you take a mental screenshot of this, because it transforms that vague, abstract advice about getting enough rest into a concrete action you can do tonight. First, you mentally review your day. not to stress and plan for tomorrow, but to officially say goodbye to today. Second, you actively release physical tension. Stretch your legs, consciously unclench your jaw. And third, you take 3 deep breaths. This little ritual actually signals to your physical walls that it is finally safe to power down and repair for the night.
Moving smoothly into section 4, your truth, the emotional foundation. All right, so this is the fluid water system of our house. And for the whole structure to stay sound, this water has to be allowed to flow freely. We have this really bad habit of labeling our emotions as good or bad. Like joy is good, but anger or sadness? Oh, those are bad. But the text makes it crystal clear. Emotions are just messengers. They aren't moral judgments. They are literally just giving you critical data about your internal state. And here's the kicker. Ignoring your emotional truth absolutely doesn't make it disappear. Instead, unexpressed emotions get stored as physical symptoms in your bodily foundation. So that unexplained lower back pain or that intense jaw tension, yeah, that might literally just be backed up emotional plumbing.
So the crucial point here, and this is a massive neuroscientific aha moment from the text, it all boils down to a single number, 90. Believe it or not, an intense emotional peak, like a crazy rush of extreme anger or deep panic, actually only lasts 90 seconds in your brain and body, literally just a minute and a half. It only ever lasts longer if we actively fuel it with our own internal dialogue. You know, when we sit there telling ourselves, I can't believe they did this to me, over and over. If we can just hit pause and observe the emotion for 90 seconds without feeding into it, that intense wave will naturally pass. It allows us to actually respond to a situation rather than just blindly react.
A huge part of finding your emotional truth is letting go of past grievances. To help with this, the text provides the unsent letter exercise. It's incredibly powerful. You sit down and write a brutally honest letter to someone who hurt you, and you just pour out every ounce of your anger and sadness. But here's the thing, you absolutely do not send it. You destroy it. The manual beautifully frames forgiveness not as a gift you're giving to the person who wronged you, but as a mechanism for your own personal liberation. It is quite literally how you stop draining your own emotional energy and finally fix those leaks in your water system.
And that brings us to our final part, Section 5, Integration, the Living Triangle.
So we've got our roof, we have our walls, and we've mapped out our plumbing. Now we have to see how this entire blueprint actually comes together. These pillars, your light, your strength, and your truth, they don't exist in a vacuum. They are constantly informing and supporting each other. Think about it. If you deny your truth, your strength suffers. If your strength fails, your light starts to dim. To keep this whole architecture strong, the manual suggests a super simple 5-minute weekly check-in. Just ask yourself 3 things. How is my light? Like, did I feel presence and purpose? How is my strength? Did I actually rest and move my body? And how is my truth? Did I honestly honor my feelings? I really encourage you to use this actionable takeaway over the next 90 days. Check in with yourself once a week. I promise you, it's a total game changer for maintaining your internal architecture.
As we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final, incredibly provocative thought directly from the source text. If your purpose didn't have to impress a single person, not your boss, not your family, not society, what would it be? When we finally align our spiritual light, our physical strength, and our emotional truth, the answer to that question stops being some distant mystery. It simply becomes the way we live our lives, every single day. Keep building that beautiful house of yours.